We are live, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mrs. DeBra. I'm gonna go ahead and call our meeting to order. I want to welcome all of you out there in the audience. Thanks for being here today. And Mrs. Perkins, if you would lead us in the pledge.
The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Floor would be open for a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Mrs. DeGraw, did we have any public comment sheets? No. The floor would be open for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Sure.
Was there a second? Second. Those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. The first action item, purchase, spending, and surplus approvals.
So Madam Chair, I'd like to just present to the board our bulk storage process for the fuel. This is something we've done every single year. And we do have some bids as of yesterday that we would like to move forward with. Again, the bids are always as near to estimates as we can get because the fuel market does change day by day. But we do have some good bids here that we'd like to move on going forward. And so we were able to get similar bids from Mud Lake Oil and Hard Times, where Mud Lake Oil is local and our policies do allow us to have precedent or preference for local businesses. This one would go with Mud Lake Oil. So right now with the summer diesel mix was quoted for us at $2.24 a gallon. And then the number one was $2.92. Comparing that to last year, by going with these costs right now, that saves us about $7,000. And so that would be good for us to move on right now. In our budget, we do put 90,000 in there just to make sure. It looks like we're gonna be at least about half of that, which is good. But there has been years, if we remember just a couple years ago, when it was $3 and $4 a gallon, we were almost at that 90,000 amount. So we're in a good spot when it comes to our fuel. And this is what we'd like to do.
So Shane, refresh my memory if by chance the price goes way down below this, we're locked in
Yeah,
this,
and-
aren't we?
and
It's a
so
gamble will be taken.
It is a gamble. So part of it is locking it in is us having our fuel tanks empty by this time so that companies can move it in. They don't necessarily always hold that price for you. But if we can move on that price as soon as possible, as I've talked with Transportation Department with Mr. Williams over there, he's made sure that they're empty and they're able to bring them in. And so we're hoping to bring them in as soon as tomorrow is where we're at. But again, we could wait and it could go back up and miss out on it. But I think this might be the best. Last year we missed out on the window just a little bit. We could have had it a little bit lower and it ended up costing us a little bit more than we thought it would, because the part of it was because we didn't have the fuel down where it needed to be. So we're in a perfect spot for it.
Any other questions or comments? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the spending for the bulk fuel purchase.
Madam Chair, I so move that we approve the spending for the bulk fuel purchase.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
I'll do the others.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Okay. Next, we have a student activity, out of state travel.
Yeah. So we do have a request from the wrestling team that they'll have some of their events out. So the first one is for our boys and girls wrestling. They have a tournament in Malad. Malad is in Idaho. However, lodging is more convenient to go just a few miles down the road to Tremonton. and have lodging at Tremont during that time. And so really the event's gonna be in Idaho, but we will be traveling out of town. The next closest hotels, if we weren't going out of state, would be really shady. Well, I shouldn't say that, but it is one of the straight, there's a truck stop there that you don't want to have anybody there. Unless it's an extreme emergency, maybe. And other than that would be Pocatello, you're right, Nedra. And so it's closer to go to Tremont. The second one would be in January. This is a new one that our wrestling coaches would like to go to. It's a Clearwater tournament in Kooski, Idaho. Some of the advantages of participating in an event with wrestling, it's really interesting with the seeding for state tournament. It's going to be ideal for our wrestlers to be able to have a chance to wrestle those wrestlers that we don't get to see at all for the whole state. And so sometimes people will stay away from, or what happens is because the seating doesn't get placed as well at state, that sometimes you have two really good wrestlers that get put on the same type of bracket. This would allow us to be able to, one, have our wrestlers have some good competition that we don't get to see every single weekend. But it is further to go there. The wrestling team has been doing their fundraisers, extra fundraisers, concessions to help pay for this, to go to that. But this would go through Montana. They would stop in Missoula and stay overnight in Missoula, then continue on. So that's why even though they could travel all the way in-state, all the way up to Kooski, but the travel would take us through Montana. So we just wanted that to be part of what the board wanted to be aware of.
Seems like a long ways to go in the winter time and a lot of traveling. But
Yeah.
do I feel good about this?
Yeah, you do.
One of the reasons they wanted to stop halfway in Missoula is so that we can preserve instruction time. So they won't have to miss school on Thursday. Cause if they were to travel the entire way, they'd miss the entire day of Thursday.
I know that's it's always a concern. Other districts are also Ryerie's wrestling team, who's been very successful. Probably have had 8 out of the last 10 state championships over the past 10 years. They take their wrestlers, and so we've contacted them, see how they do it, the different ins and outs of it. I don't think we can get away from any travel in the winter time that has some risk of bad weather. I think it's always been that way. And it probably, well, right now we don't have any bad weather yet, but
So this one in northern Idaho. Is it just like a Friday evening, Saturday?
so it's a Friday, Saturday tournament. So depending on when the tournament ends on Saturday is gonna depend on when and how they come back. They might,
So they're traveling part of the way.
yeah.
So, like, early.
So the reason for that is that they could leave earlier on Thursday, but they can leave after school or at the end of school on that Thursday, which limits less time out of school for them. Travel up part way, stay overnight, and then I think it starts in the afternoon on.
Oh, that
on
was my
Friday.
question, if it was morning or afternoon.
It's an afternoon start.
Okay.
So really the portion of this is not, the board's not voting on should they go to these events. It's just that we are approving that they will be out of state. If the board votes that they aren't gonna go out of state, we'll find other lodging in state or different routes to go.
I see.
Is the whole team going or just a few or what's?
I know for Malad, I think everybody's going. I do have a wrestling mom in the house. Do you know on that one in Kooski? If it's everybody or,
I only have the boys' schedule, so
yeah,
boys are going. And it says there that the girls are.
I thought it was the girls because I did talk with Coach Kristen Carpenter. And she's planning on that part
It's
of
a
it.
big enough tournament, there should be girls there.
So do these boys and girls ride on the bus?
Yep.
questions, comments? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the out-of-state wrestling travel request.
Chair, so moved.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Those in favor? Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. We have some policy here for a second reading.
The second reading. On our last meeting, we discussed 3010P1 with the open enrollment procedures. Trying to think that the main thing that we had changed and we discussed last time was the capacity. These capacities are also communicated on our website as part of a requirement for the open enrollment law that went into place a couple of years ago. I don't remember us having any major concerns after that one. And so today just comes up with our second reading to be brought forward. I don't know if there was anybody else that had any feedback from patrons or any of your own thoughts or ideas to change it. If not, this is just a second reading that's going to be available for adoption today.
If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the 3010P1 open enrollment procedures.
Madam Chair, I so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor? Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. And our second one,
Hope that's all we have for,
oh,
that's all we have for that
just
one.
the form itself.
Mhm.
Okay. We completed the superintendent's annual evaluation earlier today, and the chair will entertain a motion to verify the completion of the superintendent's annual written formal evaluation.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Super. Okay. We're just cruising right along.
Yeah, doing great.
Now another policy review.
So on the information and discussion, this was one that we did at our last meeting. We did make changes in a significant amount that needed to turn this into the first reading. So this will now be the first reading for 2340, the controversial issues. I believe the one that happened was we removed one of the
Number
numbers.
4 referenced a policy that we do not have in our policy manual. So we needed to remove that entire paragraph.
Other than that,
So
the previous one had a number 4 on it that referenced the policy that we don't have as a policy. And so that one just needed to be removed.
So does this have a form that the teachers
Yes.
can use? Is there a form attached to this?
I think what we have is they can either utilize a form or write a letter to parents, which is probably what we would prefer, is to have a formal letter sent to the parents.
So each time they would have to generate a letter? You wouldn't want just a form that you could fill in the blank?
Typically, they'll either do it in their syllabus or they'll send it in a letter.
I would say more
So in the
more
syllabus.
so that the syllabus that goes out would talk about the issues. And really situations like this should be open to two-way communication. In a perfect world, our teachers would all be able to have this correct without having any problems, because when it comes to like controversial issues, one thing that's controversial to one family may not be to another. And I think it even says that here in this policy. It's really hard sometimes to say, what is it that's going to be offensive to one group? And as a school, we really should be neutral as possible and aware of these things. Our teachers should be aware of how it will come across. And I don't see this happening a ton, and it's some things that this policy has helped us get better on issues currently this year. And so I think this is a great policy for us to have. And it's one that does allow us to fall back on and say, hey, this is the line, these are the things that we need to do when we have these types of conversations. Because we do want to respect, one, like, the viewpoints of different families. But we also recognize parents need to have 100% say when we do have things that could be controversial on whether their students are hearing those opposing. Like when we say teachers shall guide discussions, instruction in a thorough and objective way to help students understand the need to recognize opposing viewpoints, the importance of facts, the value of good judgment, and the virtue of respecting for conflicting opinions. Like that's missing a lot in our world today.
Yes.
Like sometimes we feel like, oh, you have a different opinion. In politics, we shoot down anybody that has a different opinion. If you don't have a certain letter by your name, they think that everything that comes out of your mind and mouth is it's all or nothing.
It's so bad.
And it is important. But at the same time, you know, it does have to like reflect the community that we live in as well. And that's why this part right here says in the study of discussion of controversial issues and materials, the board directs the teaching staff to take into account the following criteria: the maturity of the students, the district philosophy of education, community standards, morals, values, balanced presentation, and then of course seeking prior administrative counsel. So these things are really good. I think we've had some really good discussions as a board over the last few months and also in our work meetings and such on that. So anybody see anything else on this, or do we feel like we're pretty happy with it? And I can report to the board that these things are being enacted, and also teachers, I have examples of teachers coming to administrators and asking for extra ideas on instruction that's coming up. So it's working well.
Very good. And every year you.
Yeah, these are things that,
tell them
again, that,
to come and get
yeah,
the first day.
Super. Okay, where Mr. Lemar is not here yet to present, we're gonna skip over to superintendent's report.
which will work good because actually in my superintendent report, I kind of highlighted it to Mr. Guimar, and so I'd love to just report on a few things to the board, and just a lot around the lines of the 4 different goals of the district and quality teaching and learning. As I look at this one with the K-12 curriculum, preparing students for success in the workplace, college, university studies. Mr. Guimar is going to talk more on this when he gets in here about a lot of the advanced opportunities and different things that we have for students as they prepare for college. But I also look at like the citizenship part of a public education when you combine the academics with also the extracurricular activities. Sometimes I think about this like, what is the value of public education and why it's so important in our nation? We bring people together from all aspects of life. And what better way to prepare to work in the world in the future where you're going to be working with people from different viewpoints and aspects as you go out into the world? Public education is so important for that. I know that our state has been pushing to allow for public money to be spent for private schools, and private schools can tell people you aren't invited to come to our school. We can handpick who comes. If you're a certain religion, you don't get to come to our school. That happens in Idaho right now. If you have a disability, you don't come to our school. And so That's why I really love what we do, and I kind of just leading into a little bit to say that sometimes I think we get caught up in the world saying, um, well, the school doesn't fit what I want, so that means that public schools are failing. When really public schools aren't. Our school is doing a great job. We bring kids together. We have teachers who work really hard to teach them. But we are also working with so many different personalities at kids at the same time. That doesn't mean we're going to have perfect results. Um, and so one of the things I feel like when I when I when I report on this area, I might talk about extracurricular activities here, even though it's not always academic, if that makes sense. Because I feel like the whole public school experience is a blended amount of both of those. And so my first bullet there, I say that we hosted a JV and C team tournament last week, and we are going to host one this week for basketball. And I would like to thank our athletic director, Raquel, and our activities director, Annie, for getting that set up. It ran so well last week. We have it coming up this week as well. So um, there's a tournament that our boys basketball team will be participating in. The boys varsity team goes to Ryrie, but our JV and C team are here. And so we will have a bunch of people coming in like we did last week from all over Southeast Idaho. Teams will be coming in and this last week, Annie was the one that, Mrs. Dowling was the one that mostly did most of it. And Raquel came in a little bit later because we had other things. It went really well. I don't know if anybody was able to make it to that one here. But I just wanted to say that they represented our school well, and as people came into our facilities were clean. They looked really nice. I'll talk a little bit later. I think the one place where the facilities don't look great is those changing rooms at the high school. But those are on the list. That's a good thing that's hidden, but but I felt like we did a really good job. And then Mr. Guimar will be in here in a few minutes to do his council report. With fiscal responsibility, just to report to the board, I am keeping an eye on state revenue on the outlook. As you may have read in different reports, some are saying that the revenue forecasts are coming in below the anticipated amount. The governor already started the fiscal year, having other public agencies reduce their budgets by 3%, with a possible another 3% more. As of right now, the K-12 budgets have been protected. And we're hoping that it stays protected until June so we can finish out this fiscal year. But because of that, really, we're planning and preparing for budget freezes or reductions for the upcoming years. And so as of right now, we're in a really good spot financially, as we saw from our audit report that was done. We have a very healthy fund balance. So we've been prepared for things like this. The best thing for us to protect the district is to just keep an eye on the amount of employees, or especially teachers, that we have. And this is where it will be, I don't want to say we're gonna have to make this tough decisions moving forward, but we have to keep an eye on it. We've talked in the past about how our student population, when they generate our teacher support units, or the FTEs that we have, we know that the Terraton Elementary, we don't generate an FTE or until 20 to 23 students. That's the area that we have to have the numbers on. I've tried really hard to not have split level classes. But moving forward, again, I don't know. I'm putting together a few plans that I want to have some like ideas. As it concerns Hamer, when we look at a fiscal responsibility, the Hamer students, they generate a teacher at 12. And so they are generating the teachers and the FTEs. One thing that helps with that is, even though Hamer generates an FTE, it goes into a pot for the entire district. And so other funding is helpful. If those Hamer FTEs go away, when the students come to Territon, we don't generate more FTEs. And so that's, when you look at that, to say there you have the funding that comes for enrollment, that goes towards salaries and benefits, but then the discretionary money comes from a calculation based off of how many FTEs you have. So if we were to reduce our FTEs by 3, essentially we're reducing our total FTE amount by that amount as well. So those are all things that, as we balance the things we have in the district, I'm not, like I said, this isn't a time to like sound the alarm of fear and everything, because we really don't know. But the board needs to know, the public needs to know that I am keeping a really close eye on what will happen this legislative session as it pertains to public ed. If more money is being advocated to go to private schools, that just takes away from what's available in the big pot for public ed. And so those are things that we are looking at and just trying to advocate for. Any questions on the fiscal portion from any of the board members? No? Okay, let's talk about the school environment. And let's talk about the PE changing rooms and bathroom remodel projects. So just an update for you guys. Mr. Miller and I have been meeting with the architects and the construction managers, and we are getting renditions and some pictures of what it could look like. And I'm going to show you guys what it could look like. So it gets exciting. So if you remember with this project, we were looking at the PE changing room, locker rooms at the high school. And yes, I kind of looked over at Andrew because I know she has a daughter that plays junior high basketball, and those aren't the best locker rooms to have. Everything in the hallways, our classrooms are in really good shape. Really, if I had to say it, those are probably the things that are in the worst shape in the entire district. So let's look at the rendering. So here's a rendering.
Oh my,
Yeah, I know, that's exciting, isn't it?
yes.
Let's see. So this one here would be the boys' locker room right here. Take a look here. If this one would be the boys, this is the boys' locker room. So this is the door that goes outside. And so this would be up along that wall. And if you look over here, this side where the shower is at, we'd have 2 different doors, one that would go into an individual shower and the other one that would go into a completely remodeled bathroom on that. We would take the lockers that we're looking at right now. They would basically just have a bench for the kids to hang their coats up to go into PE. If you had valuables, you could bring your own lock and put it into a locker up underneath. And so the flooring would be similar to kind of what we have in the ALC auditorium over here on that side. And again, this is just a rendering with that. The girls' locker room, I think this one. No, this is just the reverse look in the boys. So that would be the door that you go outside. So take you out to the hallway from the boys' side. And you can see that you'd have nice bathrooms over here. Just changes it, like you wouldn't even know if like you woke up in this, you'd have no idea where you're at. The single occupancy bathroom, single shower. This, how many what?
Showers.
One.
Toilet. Just one.
One. So this would be the plan. Let me see. Because we'd also, as we talked about it, remodel both of the bathrooms. So this one here, this is a look of the current bathrooms for the public. When we go in and make any remodels with the toilets and things like that, and we're doing it through an architect and we're doing it through companies that come in, then we have to bring the entire building up to code for those fixtures and everything else. And so that's why we would make sure that everything is ADA compliant and everything else. And you'd have to have certain, if you have certain numbers of fixtures, you have to have certain number of fixtures for the population of students that are in the school. And then also per gender has to like match with the different rules. And so this project would be the changing rooms and then also a complete overhaul of the restrooms in the schools. So the restrooms at the high school would be remodeled this way. This bathroom right here is a teacher staff one. Right now, the only way to get into this one is to come in through the teacher workroom, which creates for some awkward situations if people are at lunch and then everybody sees you just go into the bathroom right there. They're gonna block that wall off and cut a wall on this other side for them to go into for that. And then there's another thing that they would have to make, they would allow this other staff restroom to also be an ADA unisex bathroom that anybody could go and then the walls cut off there. Does that make sense? Okay, I see heads nodding in here. And then inside the locker room itself, these were the pictures that we just saw. Like currently right now, we just have like this one here is the only bathroom and it's like it has a toilet and then a urinal and it's just super, super duper tight. They're gonna turn this one into like a bathroom with just urinals and a sink. And then this would be the shower, and then this would be a toilet with a sink, ADA compliant on that. So other things, as people are asking, like what will it look like in the bathrooms? They're actually gonna have dividers between the urinals and such, so. Which will be nice. So that's the renderings with that going forward. The other things that we've looked at for the junior high and the elementary would be to go in and make sure we have completely remodeled where we'll have dividers between urinals. We'll have different heights, so we hopefully don't have kids taking their phones in and trying to take pictures of kids while they're going to the restroom. And that's one of the reasons why I want to put that under school environment and safety. Our kids do need to have a safe place where they feel like they can go into the restroom without being harassed. Some of the things we're thinking with the junior high, we explored what it would look like to have like walls that were opened up more so we could hear in there. When we looked at the HVAC systems and everything else, and also the cost, I don't think that's gonna happen. But we will look at having like, where the doors are set up to have like vents that you can't see in, but you can hear in, help us monitor better, things like that. And then the elementary bathroom here at Territon, we're not gonna have little small stalls. The stalls are gonna be normal size and updated, and also have the urinals that will be more compliant for ADA as well. So we're excited about that, but we're not sure about what the price tag. Like this is, sometimes I wonder if we look at these pictures and we're like, okay, it's looking nice. But I do think it's gonna be with the funding from the 521 funds, the facility funds, it's gonna be worth it for us to update these. Like I think it's a huge priority for us, even though it might come in, I don't wanna say more, because we don't have a complete budget for it, because we haven't received those bids and quotes.
So you really have no idea what it's gonna cost.
We I can't even give a ballpark yet.
That's it, yeah.
Because they also did come in there was a little bit of there is some asbestos that they found. I'm not sure what that abatement is gonna look like. That's gonna cost us a little bit more. But we're to the point where we've got to do something. Like something has to happen. We do need to have those updates. And then my last part before I turn the time over to Mr. Guimar, community relations, communications. I just want to talk about the process of Secret Santa and Christmas fundraisers. I think this is a great positive, fun thing that's happening in our community. We've had different community members that help organize the Secret Santa. And they organize it in conjunction with the school district. And it's a huge process. And it's not an easy process. And I just want to say thank you to those individuals who do that. It takes a lot of time and effort and planning. And also it takes coordination with different groups and the school, and they reach out to community groups and church groups and try to find people that we can help lift and support and serve during this Christmas season. And so when these individuals do that, they find lists of families who are in need, And then we have people that come in and adopt them. And many great community members come in and they'll adopt a family and they'll go and they'll take the list and they'll do all of the Secret Santa shopping for them. But we also have school groups that come in and do this as well. And so some of our school groups that have done that is the Student Council in the junior high and elementary, and also the National Honor Society from the high school. And then they do fundraisers to earn money to go out and do that. So the elementary here at Territon, they had a bake sale last week, and that bake sale proceeds, and they made about $1,500 to go towards that with the bake sale. But that also comes because those bake sale items are donated by parents that are involved. And then those same parents probably send money to have the kids buy their own stuff. You know, it's really, but it's all for a great cause. And then the National Honor Society earned nearly $5,000 through a raffle that they did. And through, they also have a giving jar competition that they have at the high school. And so then the National Honor Society will go and they'll purchase all of this. It's a lot of work. But also through this whole process, we have the Idaho State Police who donate meals that to us. And so this is a regional thing that the Idaho State Police, I believe they go to different grocery stores and they get donations there. And then they have people put these meals together. Then they deliver them here to the school that we can use in conjunction with our Secret Santa.
So the people that receive this, they all are.
All community. So all of these families here will go here. And so it's just a wonderful thing to see that spirit of service come in all of our students, but also in our community. We've always, many times I've heard hundreds of times growing up and see it on how great our community is. And this is just one of those examples. And I just wanted to say thank you first to those that come in and help organize the Secret Santa, and those that help adopt families and donate and to help our kids to have this activity. And I think it's just a great example of where our community and our school and our different church groups get together and police officer groups get together. And so I think it's a great opportunity. So does anybody have any questions or comments about? So, okay. And then just some upcoming events in the community. The Hamer Christmas program is going to be Monday, December 15th. The pre-show with some of our school district employees playing in the band will be at 6:30. If not, we're good. If they're good, or if the people in the audience are good and we sing Santa Claus is coming into town, Santa Claus should come to town that night.
Should.
He should be
He has
there.
for 75 years.
He's made it for 75 years.
Actually, it's more than that now.
Then on Tuesday, here at the district office, the third grade Christmas program will take place here in the district office auditorium. 10:15 a.m. is one where the students come, but if there are any parents that need to come to that one, they can. And then at 1:30 p.m. also. And they do a program about Christmas around the world, different cultures, different traditions. Really good program. If you haven't had a chance to see that one, come to that. And then that evening, Mrs. Parker has her band and orchestra fundraiser dinner and performance. And so that's next Tuesday, December 16th. The dinner will be here in the ALC gym. And then the performance will be in the high school auditorium at 7. And so I'm going to let Mr. Guimar move back up, and he's going to talk on his counselor report. And then after that, Mr. Guimar, if you would be able to turn the time back over, and then I'll finish my report at that time.
Will you refresh your Board Docs? We've updated his slides.
Oh, I didn't even put it on Board Docs though.
I did,
You
and
did?
then I just updated it, so,
Because I have it pulled up on his
oh, perfect.
there. So it should
And
be
then
fine,
it's
because if you
updated on
update it,
there.
it's updated on your
Yep.
slides
Yeah,
there.
that would be perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get up to the top here then. I do want to say thank you to Mr. Guimar before we get started, just for preparing this and being ready. He's so willing to just jump in and help. Like, at least when he says thank you with a smile, it's genuine, it's happy. But
Do it.
West Jefferson is fortunate to have Mr. Guimar as a counselor. And we're excited he's going to share some of the things that have been happening in the counseling department and just at West Jefferson for our students. So time's yours.
Yeah,
Mr. Guimar.
perfect. So if we just go ahead and we can go to the next slide then. These are just some of the things that are coming up in terms of testing, and so we've already had like the PSAT, the ACT, the ASVAB. I got a letter about 3 weeks ago, so that's the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. And what that does is a lot of students, they think that it's just like, well, this is just the military test, why do I have to do that? But it actually provides a lot of good ways for them to look at career opportunities because it goes off of like interests. The thing I often share with people is a few years ago, I was talking with another teacher and I was just telling him, you know, I'm not sure. It doesn't seem like kids really try that hard on this one. It seems like after the assessment and they get it back, do they really take it serious? And, you know, I just wonder about it. And this person said, well, you know, I took that test and when I was here, this, you know, 40 years ago, and it's because of that test that I'm where I'm at today. He goes, so even if it's for that one kid, you gotta just do it. Cause you never know who is gonna take it serious and where it's gonna go. And so, but with that test, I guess with the recent cutbacks with federal funding, they used to have a person that came from Pocatello or well, from Boise to give this test, but now those that are in Boise with the military, they can't go outside of 100 miles. And so they're gonna turn over that to the district. And so it's kind of nice that way, just because now we can choose anytime that we want to give it. We could, if I wanted to, if there are kids that didn't make it, I could call them and say, hey, on this day, I've just got 2 kids that I need to test. Then we have that kind of freedom to do that. And so
What are the ages, like, if you go to the PSAT, who takes the PSAT, who takes
so
the
the
ACT?
PSAT, it's for 10th graders. So that's gonna be kind of like the preliminary SAT.
Mhm.
And then the ACT, usually that'll be for juniors and seniors. Juniors, if they take it at the beginning of their junior year, some of the things that they miss out on that is if they haven't had all of Algebra 2 yet, which most of them haven't, then they're gonna miss some of those beginning elements of it. And so I'll tell juniors, like, you could take it right now and that could be your baseline if you want to do it in the fall. But there's gonna be some things on the test that unless you're studying for it and you've got a guide, you probably haven't been exposed to it yet. And so it's okay to take it. And now what's been talked about is with the advanced opportunities, it used to be that those exams you could only do it once, but then last year they made it so that you can submit ACT, SAT several times for that funding, so they can take it.
Does it cost the students anything if they retake it?
Nope. Yeah, so that's a good part about it is they can just go in and submit the advanced opportunities again. And so every 3 years we just redid that for this year. We signed a contract with ACT, and we get like a certain price that's fixed for those 3 years. If they go outside of the districts, I think it's just over 67, close to $70 to take it. Here we got it these last 3 years, 51.25. This year went up to I think 52.25. So the next 3 years we're locked in at those rates.
And
then-
the ASVAB, what grade level does that target?
So that one, anybody from grades 10 through and on can take it. Here, we've traditionally just always done the juniors. And then if there is a senior, when we say this is the date that we're gonna retake it, or that we're gonna test the juniors on, if a senior does come and say, you know, this is a direction that I'm interested in, then we can have them be a part of the testing as well. The Spanish CLEP, so that's gonna be for native. Tried to talk a couple of students that were a part of like Rigby's Spanish immersion. And they're like, yeah, I'm not sure, you know, I'd be interested in it. Still haven't been able to talk any of them into taking it. I think it'd be awesome to have them take it, but we have a really good time when we go over there. This year, there's not as many that have signed up. In the past, we've had about 13. So far with different announcements and that, I think I've got 4 students. But a lot of times what happens is in January, that's when students will probably start coming and it'll be closer and then they'll sign up. And that's actually true with most of the tests. Even the ACT, I tell them, we started in September. Would you like to take the test? And there's no, but then all the way up until 2 days before, they're like, is it too late or anything? And I'm like, well, no, I mean, it's good to have you in the system and all of that, but I guess now it's live and recorded, but everybody I upload everybody into it just in case that happens. I can just hurry up and put it into the system. And so it works out well.
I'm trying not to put you on the spot, the acronym for CLEP. If you don't know the acronym,
It's the college level.
college language.
No, it's the college level examination proficiency.
So what basically it's doing is seeing how well you perform in that language. And
No, not college level.
college level.
Yeah, examination proficiency or something, because the CLEP is referring to not just Spanish, but also you could take like a college history class and just test out of it. You could take it in math. You could take it in any of these. And I think one of the last times you talked about that. And history, sciences, any of those tests, if you are proficient in that area, you can receive the credits and just test out of those at the college level.
But now, aren't the kids leaning more towards dual credit? And
Yep.
Getting that taken care of?
Yep. Yeah, and we've got, in just a little bit, we're gonna get into that and show some numbers on that too. And then in the spring, these are things that are coming up. We'll have the juniors take that, the SAT, every year. And so that's scheduled for the 6th. The ISATs for the high school at least will be the 20th to the 23rd, and then we'll have another spring ACT testing date there. I don't know if we want to go on. A couple of things that we have done. You want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, sorry.
We did the CPR training. That was a lot of fun. This year we included the health classes in there, and so under Mr. Hadley. Just quick observation on that. After we got done with it, he was just like, yeah, we've got to do this every year. And so kids seem to really enjoy it. And the trainers, the thing that I love it, yeah, one thing that I love about them, and this is true when we even have college reps come out, because you have some kids that you're just like, you don't need to say that or do that, but these instructors, when they got done, I was just like, so here's a couple of things, just reflections. This is a bigger group that we had, so here's some things that I'm thinking. They're just like, no, we love coming out here. Your guys' kids are so respectful and just so good. And I was like, so you guys go around a lot? And they go, oh yeah, we go to a lot of high schools. And you guys just have good, respectful kids. So yeah, just props to them for that. So it's really good that they did that. Did have like pictures, those I put out on Facebook, Instagram, but I don't know if you want to go through all of those, but we did like a CEI health sciences field trip as well. But here's just a couple of
There's Jaden and Shadrach.
Yeah, just a couple of those pictures that we had there.
So this was our setup in the ALC auditorium.
Yeah, and they really like that. Normally, before we just had them in here, and they really like being in that room in a big open space with all of the different dummies to work on it. So it really was like a fun day that way. But now I guess as you're going through that, the other thing we did was last Thursday.
Where was this one
Wednesday?
at?
Yeah, Wednesday I get an email from CEI. And they said, hey, we have a health sciences field trip on Thursday. The school backed out. Do you guys want to come? And I was like, holy cow, this is short notice. So we'll see. Well, we put some information out there and we got 12 students that said they'd be interested in it. And it was like you said here, like this was a hands-on in from medical assistant, dental assistant, surge tech, I mean, there are so many different things that they just got good, hands-on, fun. What does this field do? So, I mean, I told them afterwards, I said, you know, we'd really like to be able to get invited again when you have this, because it was just a good activity and lots of smiles, lots of, for the surge tech, some kids are just like, oh, you don't just have to hand the doctor that? And they're like, oh no. And they showed some pictures that were kind of graphic too, just saying this is what it is. And it was an eye opener for a lot of students, just being like, oh, yeah, maybe I'm not interested in
Well,
that.
I saw picture. Emily, did you hear from your son at all about that experience? Did he have anything fun to share?
Oh, he was there too.
Both
Yeah.
of my kids were there, yeah. They said it was good, they learned a lot, and
Yeah.
he was like, I'm not gonna do that.
So it was just a lot of
So
fun.
is this a class that has to have parents' permission to take it?
We did send home parent permission slips.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, and the thing with that is I didn't know going into it, some of those different things. I didn't know that the surge tech, she did put a disclaimer up before. She was just like, okay, there are gonna be some like, with meaning like blood, you know, and so it showed like a severed leg, a brain that was being operated on.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know any of that, so she just said, so, you know, graphic photos, turn away if you can't do this. So that kind of stuff I didn't know about beforehand. When they said health sciences, I thought we were just going around but I thought it was excellent. Like it was just a great, good activity with the students.
Yeah.
In February, we're also gonna be having the higher education days. That's the one where the juniors get to go to BYU, Idaho. And there's 10 different colleges from the state of Idaho that are there, and we get to go around and speak with representatives and get more information that way as they get ready for their senior year. And so typically, and we've got a plan again this year, Mr. Gore and Mrs. Smith, they teach the juniors. And so I always have them come along as chaperones as well. Just because it's good for them to also have those conversations with the students as they get them prepared for their senior year. So. This year, so in October, we had the, Apply Idaho and getting like the next steps for seniors. And I'll tell you what, that group of students, we just put a U-shaped, kind of the tables out in a U-shape. We started at 8 o'clock and I just let them know, I said, so today our objective is we're gonna go and look at the FAFSA. We're gonna look at we're gonna look at Next Steps Idaho, create an account there, Scholarship Idaho. And so that's where you've got like the Idaho Opportunity, Idaho Launch, and then we're also gonna do the Apply Idaho. Said if we're able to, we're gonna also then create like your FSA ID in order to do the FAFSA. And those students just went in and got to work. It was great. And so this part right here, this FAFSA completion, right now we're at 40% of seniors that have applied. Last year, the total was 39%. This year we had 20 families that came to we had 2 different nights this year. 20 families. Last year we had 3 families that came. And so the year before that we had 18. The year before that we had, I think, 2. And so just kind of yeah, and I don't know the secret or anything behind that. It's there as a resource, and so you know we're glad that when parents are able to come and do that. And I don't know if I just need to find a better way of getting a hold of the parents and just seeing like how is it that we can best help you and your student with this, you know, because it just kind of goes up and down. And the universities are great to work with that way. They're just like, oh no, this is how it is at every school. You just never know. And so it's good. So that's our FAFSA. The next one, Apply Idaho. I was really excited on this because really there are so many students that just went in and applied. And a lot of different things in here is some students will say, you know, I'm not interested in doing all of the schools. And I've already applied to ISU, but I did it just directly through their website. And so they don't, so in there, it shows that they haven't done anything with Apply Idaho. because they didn't do it, but they're just like, I'm not gonna worry about it there. And so there's a lot of different variables in there, and some, they went along with everything, because I was just telling them, just think about your just your future and just like certifications or programs that we can help you with. They did everything but hit submit, and afterwards I was like, why aren't you hitting submit? And they're just like, because I'm not doing it. So before this happened, I shared just several stories, and it was actually like 2 or 3 days before I went into Mr. Gore's class, and I was just like, you guys just so you're aware that, you know, your senior year, you've got so many different opportunities like this, and that door, it never closes at college. I mean, I'm somebody, I went to college later in my life, but that door, as far as like receiving financial aid and different things like that, some of that can get a little bit tighter after you graduate. Said a student last year came and just talked, and they were dead set, not going to college. And so this was in October, when I was telling them, I said, guess who showed up in 2 days ago to my office? And it was just like, hey, so can I still do Apply Idaho? Nope, you can't, because you graduated. You know, it was the same with like the Idaho launch. Another student, I'm going into this program, they told me to come and talk to you about getting the money, the $8,000. And I told them, well, you graduated, remember when we did this last year? When we talked about how, and they're like, well, I can't do this. Well, not right now, because that's not, now you can do the Idaho Opportunity Scholarship, that's something that's available, but the Idaho launches. And so, you know, I think this year we did really good, like it's shown right there, we got 79%. Last year, the completion was 74%.
So it's too bad that those former students had that tough thing happen to them. But I do hope that it really can be used to show, it doesn't hurt just to apply.
Yeah,
Like, it's not hurting you if you're choosing to go to the military, serve a mission, or just work. You still can apply. That doesn't mean that you have to go, and but that's a good point that you have. And so like the Apply Idaho, just to make sure that this is a place you go in, and when you fill out this application, then you apply to all of the state schools.
yeah, as many as you want,
Right.
because it'll allow, you know, all of them to be applied to, or, you know, if you just wanted to do 1 or 2, then you can do that, but it is just one application for all schools.
But these schools would be state schools, so like
Yep.
NNU and
So,
BYU Idaho aren't.
Well, BYU Idaho isn't, but I thought that this year, and I'd have to look at it, I thought NNU was included on it this year.
They did, so
Yeah.
that might be something that the private universities might be able to
Yeah.
connect that way.
Now, I don't know that BYU Idaho will, but I think NNU, I thought they were on there this year.
Okay.
Yep. So you just got all the major universities and colleges
Okay.
there.
So,
Yep.
Mr. Gamer, if you apply for this and then you go on a mission, say, for one thing,
Yeah,
can you still use it when you get back?
yep. And so there afterwards, what I help them with also, and we have the university official, they'll come back. Sometimes it's between 2 to 3 times a year that they'll come. So initially, just kind of talk about with the students about their programs and what the school offers. Mid-year, they'll come in and just see where's the status, what are kind of the like next steps. But then by the end of the year, it's usually working if there is somebody that's like on a mission or looking at that. So, okay, you've been accepted. How do you submit the deferment? So that when you come back, you have your place.
I see.
Yeah. And so
Good.
help a lot of students with that.
Mhm.
And then here's the Scholarship Idaho. So this is going to be either between the Idaho Opportunity Scholarship, which allows the students to get $3,500 a year for 4 years, or the Idaho Launch, which is $8,000 for 2 years. And so if they do the $8,000 for 2 years, they can do that. And then after they've used that money, they can still apply to the Idaho Opportunity Scholarship and get $3,500 until they're done. And so there's both of those. That's kind of the route that I've encouraged kids to go in, just because you can get more money that way.
What's that second one called?
The Idaho Launch.
Idaho
So that's the
Launch.
$8,000.
What's the 3,500?
That's Idaho Opportunity Scholarship. Yep. And Um. Yeah, so with the Idaho launch, the thing about that is it can be used over 2 years, or if it's a certificate program for like 10 months or so, it can all be used at once that way, but typically it's for 2 years, 4,000 each year. However, that's broken up. Just a couple of updates here with the graduation planning. Just in talking with some students from varying grade levels the past couple of weeks. Just had, and this is from freshman to senior, a lot of kids that are just like, are you sure? Am I really gonna have to do a senior project? Is that really something that we do? And I'm like, yep, state requirement, you gotta do that. And so I was trying to think of like, how is it that we can get this to where we can say, like, this is a requirement, and all of a sudden it just hit me after these conversations. I was like, I need to just include that on their graduation plan progress. And so yesterday I put that in there to where now they can see, and this is a senior example where it's just, this is part of the, those requirements that you have to have in order to graduate. So you're gonna have your senior project, a college entrance exam, and then also the civics test. And the civics test is done in Mr. Gore's government class, previously in his or Mr. Taylor's government class. But all of those will just need to be, checked before they're able to graduate. And this is something that any parent or any student, when they log into PowerSchool and look at their graduation plan progress, it'll be in on there. What was funny about this was just this morning, Mr. Gore was talking with his juniors about the civics test, and he gave me a call, and he was just like, "Hey, I just got a quick question for you. I got my class right here." So I went in there, and they said, "Is it really true that he's telling us that we have to do some civics test? Like we're already Americans. Why do we need to take this? Why are we doing this?
we're already American."
And I said, no, this is a requirement. This is true. And I said, who's got their Chromebook open right now? And somebody raises their hand, and I go into your graduation planner. And she goes in, she looks at it, she's like, it's true.
It's true.
I go, that's so funny you guys brought this up today.
They wouldn't have believed you if you wouldn't have put it on the grad plan.
Then I put that in there. And so for the class of 26, and then if we go to the next slide, 27, those are the changes now that are on there. And then if you go to the class of 28, the thing that's added in there too, and this was done after that new law came out, but the digital literacy is now part of theirs because it was last year's class, or the class that last year's freshmen that it applied to. So the class of 28 and beyond, they've got to have this digital literacy class, and so that's something that Mrs. Balmforth teaches. But just wanted to show you these two, and then we go to the next slide. So this is just freshmen, another example. And then here in terms of like, okay, we've got the graduation planner, which is nice, but the real thing to do behind this though is also to look at helping kids understand, like, we're not just selecting classes, like what are these classes going to go for, and what's your future going to look like this way. And so we've had this for, it's been at least, I don't know, a year and a half or so, just on the district website, where we can see like, okay, if you're going to plan out your classes, here are the classes that are required, but then here's also how you could get some dual credit along the way. And this is how we can help you do that. The part below shows the classes. I don't know if we can zoom in on that.
It does not let me.
It doesn't? Okay.
No.
But in there it's just showing there's different categories, and so you have like English, communication, there's science, math, humanities, and then social sciences. And in each of those areas, we've got classes at West Jefferson that teachers offer. This year, at the beginning of this year, a couple of new ones that we got was Mr. Packer through CSI last year, he applied to have a dual credit Spanish class. So now we've got a couple of classes in the fine arts, or the humanistic ways of knowing. And then he also applied for his physical geology, and that one was approved. And then it was like 2 days before we started, they came back and said there was something in there that wasn't communicated, and they said we're not going to allow you to do that this year. And so, but our representative from CSI said, let's just resubmit, and then next year we'll get that. And so we'll have one science class. Try and talk with the teachers just about, trying to up those, because here we'll see in just a little bit that, the more classes we have here, the more kids are going to end up taking those classes too. Because it's just always better to be able to have those classes in person than doing it online. And so, but just a resource to show parents and others. So in line with that, if we go to the next slide, the associate degrees, last year we had the first one. This year we've got 2 from CSI, 1 from CEI. And so we'll have 3.
We're looking to have 3, if the students stay on.
3, yeah.
Three
So right
associates
now
degree.
they're all on track. And so we'll have 3 this year. The next year, so in August, the CEI came out to work with students about that were interested. We had 12 students come. And so this is just by grade level, the different students. And actually, I guess if I would have included like all of them, I should have put them in 2029, because there's 1 or 2. One of them did come that day. I just didn't have it on there. But here's just kind of looking forward, and we'll just see how well it goes. It's a big task, and a lot of them it is because it is online too. It gets a little bit, hard having that many classes online to do. And so it's demanding to have that. If we go to the next slide, and this was kind of thrown in, and it's not pretty, so sorry, pretty basic. I was just like, I should tell them, like, for early graduates, last year there were 2, so that last year it would have been those that were graduating this year, right? So we had the 2 from last year, and then next year, those that are in the class of 2028, we've got 2 also, and I've talked to them about just that procedure. If you've got to go and talk to the board to get approved for this, but they're going to be doing quite a bit of work between this year and the summer, and then next year in order for that to happen. But they'd like to graduate early. So right now we'll have 2 for next year.
Okay.
Yep. Man, with the advanced opportunities, this is just kind of like the count over the years. So
before
when
you
it
dive
first
into
started, yeah,
Let's just do a reminder. Advanced opportunities is the amount of money the state has, so the legislature has put together a pot of money for each student to be able to have advanced opportunities.
Yep.
Which would be something above and beyond what your regular school offers. Is that a good way to?
yeah. So every
Somebody
student I tell kids, right now you've got in a bank account in Idaho, you've got 4,625 for college exams, workforce related opportunities. And so then that can go in any of the CLEP or those exams that we talked about as well.
So when they go take those tests, that
use
pretend
money.
bank account for
Uh-huh.
them comes out of them.
Yep.
For them.
Yeah. So it goes in and they do that. So this just kind of shows by year, how many students have participated in it and used that funding. And so you can see we are going up in terms of that. More students are taking advantage of it.
What do you think is it mostly just the tests? Why is it going up in your opinion?
So I'm gonna show that in one of the,
Okay.
yeah. And I don't know if we're gonna be able to see it fully.
Should I go to the next?
So here's, yeah, we'll just go to the exams. So here's just the number of exams. And so this will be that were submitted in a year. So primarily these are looking at your like ACT. Some students have done the SAT or PSAT using that money. A lot of it is also not a lot of it, some of it is also the CLEP exam. You also have, this last year we had like the nursing assistant. Those students, they've used the money that way. But those are the exams that are that's how it's being utilized here with exams. Then the dual credits, this is how many have been earned by the students as well. And so that's also going up, and that'll go into why also we're getting more.
It's almost 300 more credits from one year to
Yep.
the next. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Can I ask a question about this dual credit? Wouldn't it be better to advise a student to stay in and get dual credit instead of trying to graduate in 3 years, say? And then go to college and pay for your classes, where if you stayed in and took dual credit
Yeah.
all that time, you would be having all this credit when you left.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
Yeah, and so
Isn't
the interesting thing about that is I always ask them, so what's your plan with this? And sometimes, and they're sometimes just personal, and so different reasons that way, they're just like, I just want to be able to graduate. Because another student that's on the track, they wanted to graduate early. And I told them, did you know that we've had students go to BYU, Idaho. We've had them go CEI. They never stepped foot on our campus during their senior year because they took their classes as a senior. They didn't graduate early, but they went over to the campus and they just stayed there to take all of their classes, or they went to CEI and they took their classes that way. And so this one student that I'm thinking of, oh yeah, well, I'd rather do that then. Cause it's just like, well, you're gonna be, cause you either leave and you're gonna pay for it,
yeah,
or you stay here and you let the state pay for it.
Yeah.
And then you can continue using, the advanced opportunities money that way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's a very good point, because and some students are just like, I know I realize that, but I just wanted to graduate and be done. And so just kind of depends.
yeah, it sure does.
Yeah, on the situation and what they're looking
But
at.
on the other hand, it's good to see somebody with a goal and a plan. And it might not be the exact same plan that we have. And I think sometimes that public education or even institutions kind of get the raw end of it, because people say, oh, you're just trying to push everybody down this one line. No, we're not. We're trying to give them different opportunities. We're not saying you have to just go this route.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part about all of this.
Yeah.
But going back to it, in the past though, you'd get a student that wants to get out and they're like, man, I've got one more year of this. I'm just gonna drop out.
Why?
You know what? But if you had somebody that's like, I'm not gonna drop out, I'm gonna graduate early so I can be out. That's better than them just saying,
It is.
fine, I'm out on it. So
Yeah.
in a way, it really does come down to their own personal preference.
Yeah.
And they do have choice. That's the thing. Like, public ed does provide plenty of choice. Like in what we have going forward.
Because we really try and tell the students, even these ones that with the Apply Idaho, that are just like, I'm not going on, so I don't. I'm like, okay, but this is where you need to just shift your mindset. Is we're not trying to tell you that you just need to go to college. What we're trying to tell you is what's your interest, what are you gonna do later on?
Have your
If
doors.
that's
yeah.
if that's in welding, if that's in HVAC, if that's in electrical, there are programs that can help you right now do that. But you still have to apply to like the school to be able to be a part of those programs. And then that way we can get you in there and you can start working on those certifications and use that money, because once you graduate, then that's
Yeah.
it's
Goodbye.
gone. Yeah. So.
Interesting.
So here's the number of dual credits, so the classes. then-
Classes, okay.
Yeah. And that's also just increased the number of students that take that. Here's just overall, as you can see from the beginning, and it's probably kind of hard to read there, but that first year there was $7,020 that was spent. Now it's gradually gone up. Last year we had $66,861 that was used. And so it's really, it's been a really good program for these students with dual credit. And then here, so what are some of the different areas? And so there's like, what classes do we have? and then what classes is through IDLA. And so you can see there that in some years it's almost matching what the IDLA is doing and what we're doing. But I thought it was just interesting to kind of see like in order to help these students get to where they're going with their goals, we just don't have all of those classes that IDLA does in order for that to happen. Or even from the college, and I kind of use this loosely this way because I put in there IDLA is also just if they take it, because students can also take it directly through the college. And so this is including both of those. I didn't split it out that way, but it's just like where the West Jefferson versus those outside classes, right? But when I was looking at it too, though, I was thinking like, that's really starting to get significant with the WJHS classes. And so if you go to the next slide, now if we were to go and take out like some of these newer classes that we've had, like the Spanish, the Mrs. Smith is now dual credit with speech, and then also the history classes. We've now got dual credit world history A and B. With those ones, you can see if we take those out, it's almost matching what we offered here at West Jefferson with IDLA. And so I think that's one of the reasons, going back to you're saying like, why is the number going up? Kids are going to take more classes here in person. And so if we can get like, more teachers doing some of those classes, I think that'll continue to just increase.
So so what you're saying is for us to really give those opportunities, we have to continue to utilize our online options with IDLA.
Yep.
But we can't just rely on that. We also have to build, like with our teachers here, get them into a point where they can have dual credit offerings inside what they're teaching here.
Yeah. Yep. And so, I mean, it would be great, in a couple of years because of the different requirements that there are.
But if we took IDLA away, would we have a chance to even have kids get
It would be pretty hard just because then it's going directly through the university. And so there still might be a couple of, but it really like IDLA provides so many opportunities. And it's kind of in a format that there's not a lot more expenses for the students either, because most of the time the curriculum is just embedded there into the class. Whereas if you're taking it through the university, some universities you've got to have like the technology fee on there, and that's not something that Advanced Opportunities pays for. And so, I mean, just today I had a student come into my office, hey, I can't register for this class because I've got what's this? I've got a fee somewhere. So we're working with the university right now, just saying, hey, where was this at? And I told him, I said, it's most likely linked back to you were in a class and there's this fee associated to it. But this is where it also goes into, if you check your email, because those universities will also email a lot about like, hey, you're now in this class, here are the fees that are associated with it. And so, yeah, I think it'd be a tragedy if we didn't have IDLA. It helps so much.
Yeah.
That was the end of that part, but
Okay.
I was just or do you guys have any questions on that?
Well, when a teacher teaches an advanced or a
Dual credit.
dual credit class, you've got kids in there that are signed up for dual credit and some that are not.
Yeah, so for example, there's Mrs. Smith's speech class.
Yeah.
Some will just take the regular speech class and some will do
Do
the,
they have extra requirements there?
So the
Is
dual
is-
credit
she
has
to
extra
keep
requirement.
track of those
Mhm.
extra requirements.
yeah.
Above and beyond, we don't have any incentives for teachers to want to do dual credit classes, do we?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Probably
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, because it'd be like Mrs. Spencer, it'd be nice in a couple of years if she was able to do like a dual credit biology, for example.
Well, it looks to me like you could give them, figure out some kind of a extra pay for teaching dual credit or.
That's right. I'm gonna be sarcastic in this. That's right where the legislature's going with extra money for education. It would be nice, but the thing is the state doesn't offer extra stuff. Like we might be able to look at it like here, but I don't know what fund. We'd have to explore where that would come from.
Just a thought.
I don't know.
I see extra work for them and I'm thinking, what would be their incentive to want to teach a dual credit class?
So I guess the question is, do they get any kickback
So
from the
they do get paid by the university.
by the university?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
So they do get
so
it
they
that
do
way.
get some kind
And it varies depending on it, like I'm not sure in Mrs. Smith's, I know. And I don't remember what he said, but Mr. Gore said like CSI. They pay him CWI for Mrs. Bell. They pay her, so they do get like per student a certain amount that they're paid.
oh, that's okay, that's good.
Yep.
But you were looking at, and I guess if this. Each college would be a little bit different on what their pay structure
Yeah.
is, wouldn't it?
Yep.
And so, I don't think it's bad for us to have conversations about ways that we can incentivize our teachers to try to encourage, because if they don't have a dual credit offering, we can see right here that we're not as impactful if we don't offer them here on campus. You almost have to have both the online
Yeah.
and that to really hit the sweet spot. So maybe we could. I don't know. But again, it's looking at prioritizing where and how and what it would look like, and it might be something that we can explore. And I should apologize for being sarcastic about
Go ahead.
holdbacks. It's just hard because
Yeah.
like we hear right now rumblings about IDLA that might be on the chopping block for the legislation. Just looking for ways just to cut anything for public ed. And I agree. I think it was Nedrin. I don't know if you heard that. It was just a side comment. You're like, we would be going backwards, and we would like if IDLA went away, it wouldn't hurt our bottom line as a district. We're not making money off of these advanced opportunities. These are funds that go directly to the students to help prepare them and invest in them for the future. It doesn't go into our bottom line. It doesn't go into anything that we're doing to pay teachers, pay administrators, heaven forbid, or but what happens is you take that away, we do go backwards for the kids and their opportunities. And I feel that there's just this pendulum of we have to cut everything and cut every single tax out there that we can't have any taxes, but your police departments, your roads, your schools, it requires taxes to be able to have that as part going forward. Now, when you get that money, yeah, it should be used in a way that really prepares them. This is a good way. This is something great that's going on.
Yeah.
So,
We need some great people to go up to the legislature and talk to them.
well, I know somebody retiring from their school board position.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's not get crazy. I was thinking
Okay. This was your last slide, Mr. Guimard? Did you
Yes, that was it.
have- Okay. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Guimard, guys?
Do you know when the FAFSA results come out, or have they? Do you guys know?
So usually what you have to do is that you can go in and just log into the account. The student needs to log into their account, and then they'll be able to see where it's at. Yeah. But that's also by school. And so if they were to go into, ISU, CEI or somewhere, they're the ones that'll show like whether or not that scholarship, what the scholarship package is. FAFSA.
By school.
Yeah, so I would go in there. Because when that's filled out, it's going to all of those different schools that were selected.
Mhm.
The school's gonna receive your information, and then they'll put together the FAFSA amount, the federal aid
Okay.
amounts that way. So it won't be directly from like the FAFSA application itself,
Right.
it'll be by school where you can see that.
What about like the Idaho launch money? How do they?
So that one, the thing is they've got three deadlines for a student, not deadlines, but 3 dates. And so the first round of contingent offers, it was November 30th, but this last month they had a bunch of glitches. And so they extended that to December 1st. And so students are supposed to find out, I wanna say it was either gonna be the end of December, beginning of January. If they did get it in by that December 5th, they'll find out if they were awarded a contingent offer.
Okay,
The next one is, I think it's February 15th, and then the last one's April 15th. And so they go off of these contingent offers, and then in May, after they graduate, they'll be offered like a final award.
okay,
But a lot of this, from what I'm understanding, it also just depends on like the legislature and the amount of monies that they have available to send out to students. And so, cause what we get frustrated about is just like, we're not sure like how to like advise kids on that, because if they don't get it in by April 15th or April 30th, when it comes around for the final, well, the March 1st Idaho Opportunity Scholarship has already passed. And so there's just like, so, I mean, yeah, it's a pretty hot, like I was at a meeting at CEI with all of the Region 5 and 6 counselors. And that was one of the biggest questions we were asking the state, which is just like, it's so hard to advise parents and students, because where you have your dates at, March 1st is Idaho Opportunity. But if they're going for Idaho Launch, they don't even find out until after April 15th.
great.
And so they're just like, we're sorry.
Tough.
Yeah, and so that's what's hard about that part.
Okay.
You just don't know.
If it's a workforce training, you only cover half of that tuition. You don't get that money until after you've paid it in full, and then they reimburse.
Oh, is that how that would? Okay. Yeah, cause that's the other thing that we talked about, is just like, once it comes time for summer too, then. I guess Mrs. Scott has helped me see things that she has to where, she can see, got like the email over the summer. To be able to see like, okay, this is now the next steps for the students. But we've got access to Scholarship Idaho, Apply Idaho Next Steps. But we don't get like that workforce email or see anything in there to be able to help families. Because I'm just like, once you graduate, I'm not sure what to do. You can always come back and ask questions. I'm always available. In the summer, I'll get that. But I don't know from there, like, what those next steps are. And so we tell them that as well. It's just like, how can we best help them, especially during the summer? So that's a good part,
Okay. Thank you again,
Okay.
Mr. Kimar.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate you and your time.
Have a great
We're
day.
lucky to have you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, and that, just to finish off here on the agenda, I have thank you up there, and that thank you is gonna be directed to Nedra. It's the last superintendent meeting that you have to sit through. I'm sorry that. But I do wanna, I wanna speak, but then also give any board members a chance to say anything, and also Nedra a chance to maybe share her thoughts about being on here. But I just wanna say thank you. Nedra was on the board when I was hired here as superintendent. That's gonna leave Tanis as the Lone Ranger, as the only on that. And I just wanna say thank you. As one West Jefferson graduate to another, it's awesome to be able to serve with you on this. I know you love this school. I know you value and love education. And you have taken your role as a board member seriously, and want our district to be in good shape. And I hope that we can continue to take it in that direction after you leave. I'm gonna break the conversation a little bit, because I'm not gonna cry. I already cried once over you a couple weeks ago. But
Don't ever cry.
the Silo Sip gift card for any of the employees listen is Nedra is number one. The first person to let me know that
Okay.
Nedra is number one in our hearts, gets the Silo Sip gift card. But Nedra, thank you. We're gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you, and I've appreciated that time. I'm gonna pause and let any other board member say anything. So
I am still in denial, but I put that aside for a minute. And I just want you to never underestimate the difference that you've made, Nedra. and the lives that you've touched. Our district is so much better because of you and the time that you've put in and your influence. And we appreciate your service on the board. And you're gonna be greatly missed.
Thank you. It's wonderful.
So
Thank you so much.
I hope you'll consider dropping into our meetings. I'm sure we're still on track.
I might just watch them for a few months.
For a few months and then.
Let's go.
See how you're all doing.
I like it. I blame you.
I appreciate working with the Nedra. I love that you always kind of say it like it is and you're not afraid to do that. I look up to and respect that about you. I appreciate your knowledge. I still feel like I don't know anything, even though I've been here 1 or 2 years.
You're coming along nicely.
I'm ready to
But I do appreciate getting to know you and working with you on this board and I value your
Thank you very
experience
much.
here. And we'll miss you. That's for
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you.
I've appreciated your insight. You have a lot of insight. Your education background has definitely been helpful and I appreciate your questions. Because they do make everyone stop for a minute and really think things through, see if there's something that we've missed.
They have made the board meetings longer, I've been told.
Who said that?
We, I think we all appreciate the insight that you've given.
Thank you.
Everyone, so thank you for that.
Thank you. Well,
Chris, did you have anything you wanna say?
You made me look at stuff that I didn't notice in the agenda that I didn't pay more attention to. But no, I'm glad that I got to meet you and serve on the school board.
I'm glad I got to meet you too, because I didn't know you before now, and everybody else did, so. Yeah, I was gone for a lot of years, so. Well, I learned a lot of lessons. Believe it or not, I learned a lot of things. And the first one was when the people of Hamer came and asked me if I would run for the board because nobody else wanted to, and if I would save Hamer. And so I went in with, that was the only thing I had in mind. I've worked with boards before, but I've never been on a board, so I've always seen it on the other side, so I came in with that idea, I've got to save Hamer, and everything was zeroed in on that, and it was a tough, tough job to do that. But what I learned from that whole experience was that I don't just represent Zone 5. I might have been elected by Zone 5, but I represent all district children and parents, communities. I don't just come here to represent District or Zone 5. So that was an important lesson that I learned. Took me 2 years to learn it. And there was a lot of tension and fighting on the board back in the early days. Don't you think, Tanis? It was kind of an uncomfortable place to be. But once I learned that lesson, life changed for me on the board and it became so much better that it's not just Hamer I'm here for everybody. The second lesson was know your community. Tanis and I got the idea that we wanted to do away with the spud harvest. Remember, we thought the kids are out too long, they just get back and they go home and we want to do away with it, so.
You say that, we're gonna have a full house here next week.
That's what happened. When we decided, when we were talking about it and voting on it, here came this whole room full of people. That's one way to get an audience. Sure. We try to do something like that. And so they set me straight right away that without community support and without us helping them to get their crops done and their things done, then they couldn't support us fast the money that it takes. We have to support them first and then they support us back with a good crop and good things happening for them. So listen to your community and you'll learn a lot that way. So I learned that we just couldn't come in here and change everything. We both had to learn that one. And then the next one was a frightening experience when we had COVID. I learned from that when we had a room full of people and we were talking about opening our school back up. And it was scary enough when COVID came and we let them go for 3 months. Wasn't it about 3 months when we?
It might have been two.
We didn't come back to spring break.
It was
Come
spring,
back.
spring break and we
Spring
missed all
break.
of April and all of May.
And then to try to decide whether we were going to come back in September. Because a lot of places weren't going to come back. And so we had to decide whether we wanted to bring our kids back or not. And I was frightened to death inside that if we brought them back, somebody would die, or that decision we made could be a life-changing decision for some people. But I gained courage from the rest of the board members. Were you on? You were, and were you? Yeah. Didn't you feel that sort of a fear but I could see that the rest of you were okay with it and you were going to be strong. And so that gave me strength. So a lesson learned: depend on your fellow board members to get the strength you need to make the decisions you need to make that are hard, really hard. I voted to bring them back, but I was so nervous that whole time. I know we had them wear masks and all the things that we know more about those kinds of things now, but that was very frightening for me. Another was the 4-day, changing from 5 days to 4 days. That was so tough on me. I was so determined that I needed to save these kids from you guys, from
You do.
I thought these kids will never learn all the things that we learned because they will have just 4 days to learn them in. But I learned that we can have differing, strong opinions and still come together as a board after we make our decision. And that was a big lesson to me that you need to
Can I
come
make a,
together after you've had
can I make a comment on
yes,
that?
you may.
And that was the year that we had you do the welcome back to school, the school board. And your message was one of unity because everybody knew that you were the dissenting vote
Right.
on that. And again, I think we have to model here what it looks like to have same opinions, differing opinions, but still be nice, kind, respectful to each other. But for you to come into the school, to all of the people and all the employees and teachers and say, yes, I did vote against this. But once the board made its decision, we are now unified in moving forward. And now we have to focus on how do we make the best of our current format. And I thought that was great leadership. Sometimes we see in the news examples of what it looks like when somebody's going far off on one or another, and they just, and what that does is it creates a community that's divided. It creates a school that's divided. And that is very honorable and of you to be able to do that. And that showed great leadership on your part.
Yes, and I have to admit, I haven't minded that at all now, the 4-day week. It seems to work really well, doesn't it?
It has been.
It has been really good. So I don't know it all.
And
I learn from other people. And that's one thing we have to remember is that maybe my idea isn't the best idea on the board. So anyway, I could name a lot of other things that happened, but
this is your last chance to do it.
oh, I had one more thing. I was gonna say, trust your superintendent to make the right decisions. I don't know how many times I've called him to say, have you looked at the weather? Have you seen what the weather is? And I just did that the other day when they went to Bear Lake, and I said, there's gonna be a hurricane storm, and our kids are gonna be trapped in it, and are you watching the weather? And he said, believe it or not, we are watching the weather. And it doesn't look like it's gonna be too bad until Friday. So bless you, when they get there, he says, we're almost here and there's no storm yet. I mean, he kept me up to date on it. Relieved my mind. I could just picture a school
You weren't worried
bus.
about me. You had little Justin was on there. He's not so little. He's not so little anymore.
Just that.
I know.
was worried about all the kids and being stranded in Montpelier. But I thought it was so funny that he's so patiently wrote me back and said, there's no storm here yet, and so I appreciate that, and so many calls I've made to you, worried about something or another, and you've always risen to the occasion and made me feel better about it, and so I've appreciated working with each one of you. You've each just taught me so much. And I actually hate this retirement. I told you before, the only reason I did it was because I'm getting old. And it's not so bad going in, but it's the age when we get out, money would come out, and that's pretty old. So you have to know when to quit. You have to know when to turn it over to the younger people. And so that's what I'm doing, but I will miss you all so much, and I've appreciated your friendship and your help, and I guess that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
So, there we go.
Thank you. Missed. Well, and I know that you, with some of the phone calls that you'll probably be getting, you'll probably be able to say, it's time to call Emily.
Yes.
Emily, thank you for being willing to step up and be the next one in
Emily,
line.
it's so good. You'll be excellent. You've always been interested. You've called me a lot of times about things, and I know that you're interested in how things go, so we're turning it over to
Be good.
feel good about
Thank you, Nedra.
it. Mhm.
All right, do we need to set up a special work meeting? Do you have
I
anything?
think we will set it up at our annual meeting. We'll find a date after that meeting that we can do a work meeting.
So we'll have our next one, regular meeting is the annual meeting on the 14th. We'll set up all of the dates for the year for all of the school board meetings coming up, and then I think that would be the best one for just set up the training, and we could probably even start reaching out and
We can
finding
ISBA.
ISBA and
so we
finding
don't
out.
Get a training
when we
in
can do that.
January.
Sounds good. Okay. No other business? Will be open for a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, I so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Bye.